and happy Sunday to everyone, whoever is going to watch this broadcast, whether you're on the beach or you're doing something fun or just relaxing. We want to welcome you to another episode of the podcast, Living in the Miracle. And my guest today is Roman. Roman, hello. Introduce yourself and tell me what made you to join this podcast and be the guest on my podcast.
I don't know. I heard good things about your podcast, and I figured why not spread the good vibe? Why not? It's Sunday. I think things are going great. Hopefully, they're going to be a lot better in the future. But right now, we're living in the present. So we'll talk about that, living in the present.
Awesome. And thanks for joining. And what I wanted to bring attention is just to remind everybody that the name of this podcast is Living in the Miracle. And it's all about let's tune in and explore the miracles that are always around ourselves. And all it takes is just to notice them, right? Because a lot of times we are thinking and dwelling on the problems. Oh my God, I have such a big to-do list. I have so many things to actually attend to. And we forget to live in the moment. But all we have is the present moment, right? So when we pause and become more mindful, let me just look around. What is there, right? There is that beautiful place that I'm in. I'm breathing. I'm another beautiful experience of the gift that's called life. And I get to create. There is another day for me to create, to live, to express myself to the fullest. So I want people to tune into that energy rather than all the issues and the problems. Why is that important? Because what we are looking, we are going to discover, right? And the idea is the way the energy works. What we focus our attention tends to expand. If we focus our attention more on the problems and issues, this doesn't work for me, we are going to recreate the reality that matches our inner thoughts. So my invitation is for everybody, please let's be having fun. Let's have that childish curiosity mindset. And every day we wake up, be grateful that we are still breathing, right? Because there are a lot of people who didn't wake up today. So be grateful that we are still living, we are still breathing, and be grateful that we get to experience this life. Roma, what does it come for you when I talk about all of that?
It just resonates. I think it makes perfect sense. I think that plenty of times in our lives, we kind of get lost in our thoughts, and that's just the superficial lid that we put on our prior life experiences. So we have in our possession this big puzzle of pieces that at some point in time we were able to put together and manage, but then these pieces get tied to the fight or flight, the fears and anxiety, and we find ourselves frozen and afraid to make moves. But I've been contemplating this topic for a long time, and thanks to you, through a friend of mine, through our mutual friend, I've been listening to this book by James Doty called Mind Magic. And the main, I would say the overarching theme of this book is to befriend your subconscious. And that message really resonates with me. I think this is my 5th time listening to the book, so I'm trying to extract as many lessons as possible. But the bottom line is that we have to, the easiest way to go about things is befriending our subconscious, and that means really dialing into our intention, paying attention to our intention. A lot of times, I myself am guilty of that. It's easy to not do what's difficult. It's easy not to do what seems to be insurmountable. But I think at the end of the day, and I think I coined this phrase for myself yesterday, or 2 days ago, I said that tomorrow is one today. So every little step we take today brings a better tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes today tomorrow. So to me, this topic is very near and dear to my heart. I think a lot of times we kind of wake up and we want to conquer the world, but Rome wasn't built in one day. Nothing is built in one day. So I think that progress is best measured in hindsight. If you look back on the last 30 days, have you made progress? Have you made decisions that made your life more enjoyable? I think if I'm going to be completely honest, and I want to be completely honest always, I think life needs to be enjoyed. Life needs to be cherished. We're all going to have problems. There's always going to be difficulties and hurdles. But the bottom line is that if we're not enjoying our life, then we're not living it. If we're not living it, then what the hell are we doing? I mean, we've been given this gift, and it's only once. And might as well, take in the reins and go for a ride.
I love it. I love it what you share, Roman. And I just wanted to emphasize that that's true. Like you mentioned, that we are here not to suffer. And if some people are suffering and struggling and they think that this is the way life should be, that's not true, right? Because there is always another side of the coin. And that's what brings that back, your statement that you said that we go through the struggles and hurdles. The thing is that we are living in the duality, right? So everything has its ups and downs. And even the coin has, two sides, right? So if we know if there is something that doesn't work for us at current moment, and sometimes life throws us, like that, and we are just riding that high wave, right? Just to realize that there is always another side to that, right? And we can tap to that better side that we truly want to experience. But it's all about your intentions. What exactly do you want to experience, right? Connect with that energy and have something in your mind that you truly, truly want in your life. And this is something that we never trained for. This is something nobody was teaching us. And for a lot of people, it's just, beyond the comprehension. Because everybody understands that, like I go to college and I get my degree and this is, my life and that's how I'm going to make the living. But I always joke around about it. I said, you know what? They teach us how to make the living, but they never taught us how to live the life. And I think it's most essential to understand how our emotions work, how we can actually direct our energy and focus ourselves on something what we want to create, rather than going through the same motions and recreating the same results. And the more we become curious, the more we start studying about who we are. And like you mentioned about subconscious mind, a lot of people don't even know what it is, right? The more we tune in and understand that everybody is running the programs. We work like a computers, right? So these programs were already installed in us since our birth, sometimes from other lives, right? If something didn't work for us, like if we didn't learn the lesson, we carry it from one lifetime to another lifetime. But the idea, and again, it's like, for somebody who has their mind open, they receive this message. For somebody who doesn't, there is something for you to discover. But the idea is that, whatever parents told us, whatever we were taught in schools, in the university, and the surroundings, the people that we are with, that's exactly shaped up who we are as identity, right? So these are the programs that we are running. And these are the programs that we are running for such a long time. And the thing is that the life is constantly changing. And sometimes if we are not changing ourselves, the universe is going to throw us into some kind of adversity in order to wake up and really understand that, like I'm not here just to, live the mediocre life. I'm not here just to experience that human reality, because there is something more to me, right? I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And once we realize that we are all made out of energy and that energy is creative, we understand that we are actually co-creating with the universe. And yes, the idea is that life is just the game, and we all can learn the rules, how to play it. This way we can actually always enjoy it to the fullest, right? No matter where it is. And even when something comes up to us as a struggle, we know that we are so powerful. Once we connect to that power that we all have inside, we can overcome any obstacles, any failures, any setbacks, and we are going to come up much, much stronger on the other side. What do you think, Roman?
No, I think it makes perfect sense. I was actually thinking that they teach us how to make a living, but they don't teach us how to live the life of our
Mm-hmm.
own making. Because
Exactly.
we kind of think that life happens to us, but it does, and it will happen to us because we have no choice, because we got
Mm-hmm.
a life cycle to go through. We do happen to the life cycle, but the life cycle doesn't have to happen to us. We have the power to change our circumstance, and every single day there is a tiny step that can be taken. One of the steps that I started taking, see, last year around October, I started doing jiu-jitsu. I've been wanting to do it for probably 10 years now, and I finally embarked on the journey of trying to understand my own body and trying to get into the world of martial arts. I really wouldn't call it a martial art. It's more like a combat version of a meditative practice, or meditative practice that's mixed with a combat. Uh, Again, I don't want to call it combat art, but it's very interesting because when I went to the first class, I did not project. I kind of actually did project myself to the place where, am I going to get the blue belt? Am I going to get the black belt? Because black belt is the ultimate top of this particular expression of yourself. And then I caught myself thinking too far out in advance. Because here I am, I really liked the opportunity to train with other people, very like-minded people. The entire practice is about A, understanding your body, B, respecting yourself, respecting your opponent, and engaging in practice that's supposed to be peaceful, that actually translates into gentle art, jiu-jitsu, from Japanese. But a lot of people don't know it. So I actually caught myself going too far. And it was completely pointless because I had to be there then and understand myself and why do I want to do it. And the reason why I wanted to do it is because I found it interesting. And I thought that because we live in the physical world, even though we are spiritual beings, because we live in the physical world, I think it's a good practice to manifest yourself physically, but in a way that is meaningful, and in a way that builds community, in a way that builds closeness with another man, another woman. So that's why I started doing it. And I went once, twice, I signed up, and then it started rolling. And here I am, 9 months into it, 3 stripes on my white belt, and I'm approaching my 4th stripe, after which I'll be able to qualify for the blue belt. And again, I do not want to talk about levels, because I've gotten to a point where, because I've reprogrammed myself to take it day by day, I do not care when the 4th stripe comes or the next level comes. I've gotten to a point where I actually look forward to the practice, because the practice, to me, offers a sense of community with other people who are enjoying this particular form of art, I guess. And it offers an opportunity for 45 minutes to an hour to be at peace with yourself and to be focused. Because a lot of times what we do is we are very egocentric, and even if we don't know it, we are egocentric. We focus a lot on ourselves. We're very self-referential. The moment we stop focusing on ourselves, we can actually see the world outside. Because when we focus on ourselves, I'm not saying we shouldn't be eating healthy and exercising, but when we focus on our thoughts a lot, we internalize the world instead of externalizing everything and being. We should be happening to the world. The world should be happening to us, because the world's going to be here with or without us. But we have to leave our mark. And I think we get the opportunity to leave our mark, because that goes into another concept. And that other concept is truly believing in that my conscious, although it seems individual, is part of a greater, what I call collective consciousness. And because through my physical birth, I've been granted this tiny piece of collective consciousness, it is my responsibility to make the best of it and to enrich the fabric for the next generation, or for everyone else who comes into the physical fold to enjoy this physical life. And I know it sounds maybe even crazy to some people, but at this ripe age that I'm living in, I'm not going to say I'm definitely over 40. It took me a long time to realize that I truly believe that what I express in the ethereal realm, right, does not belong to me. I'm just borrowing it while I'm here in the physical body. So it is my responsibility to express myself in the best of terms. It's my responsibility to bring the best of intentions to every single day of my life. And when I do that, I start to hold myself accountable. And for me, jujitsu has been just one single way to express my ability to follow through on my intention. And the intention was to actually delve into something that I found interesting, instead of freezing in the moment and saying, well, I find it interesting, but I'll do it tomorrow. Well, I find it interesting, but it's too hard. Well, I find it interesting, but it's at 7 p.m. after work, which is when I'm tired. What am I going to do? I'm going to have a heavy dinner and watch Netflix. How much better? How much better is that? Not that much. It's not better at all. So I think when we let go and allow ourselves to dial into our intentions, because our intentions, for the most part, our intentions are great, but we have to consciously allow our intentions to shine through and to manifest themselves in the physical world. Because for the time being, while we're here, we're living in the physical reality, while being completely mindful of the fact that up here in our hearts, and that's another thing that I got from the book, that our hearts are capable of feeling things. And we only heard it in songs and poetry, but I never realized that there's actually science behind our hearts. Our hearts are able to emit a lot of electricity that can be picked up by machines from about 10 feet away. Our hearts can, there's thinking that our hearts can also communicate at a distance. No, I never knew that. So minds and hearts, we always talked about that, but now there's science behind it. So I think while we are in this physical gift that we've been given by our parents, we have to make the best of it. Because why waste a gift?
I love what you shared. And there are a couple of things that I wanted to point out. First of all, like you said, like initially you caught yourself that you're like so eager to get, like your black belt, like at the end of it, right? And that's exactly what happened to a lot of us. We are not used to live in the present moment. It's all the time we either dwell on the past and remember what was there, either this is good or bad, or we are constantly contemplating our future, but really we actually enjoy the present moment that we are living in, right? And especially like coming back to that, we are the co-creators with the universe, knowing that we are manifesting our life all the time. And a lot of people do it unconsciously. So they just go by default about the life and know that the life is happening to them. They just take it as it is. And there are people who understand that you can actually create your life consciously. And that's exactly what I'm teaching people, right? So when we tune in and understand that it's not about when we have something, then we are going to be happy. Because a lot of people live in that world where they think, okay, when I have this relationship, then I'll be happy. When I have all this money in the bank, then I'm going to be happy, right? And the funniest thing that once they already have what they were craving for, they do not feel happy, right? So the idea is it's not about chasing something. It's about just getting involved in the process while you are creating something that you truly desire, and appreciate and enjoy every moment of it. Because there is so much beautiful that's happening with the people. And that's what I teach my clients. I tell them, it's not as important to have the outcome, because outcome is going to arrive no matter, right? But it's the journey. Enjoy the journey and who you become in the process, because it's more valuable, because you realize how strong you are, how you can actually overcome different things. And like you said, what people are missing nowadays is the commitment. Because once you put that goal or that vision, that you want something that you truly desire, a lot of people have that inspiration, but the inspiration without the action is merely the entertainment. So they do not have enough willpower. They do not have enough strength and resilience and commitment to go after it, right? Because like you mentioned, would it be easier for you just to come from work home, and just, like eat your dinner, watch the movie, right? And be done with that? It's easy. But we do not want what's easy, because what's easy is not appreciated as much as when we really put the work into it, right? So we have to push ourselves. And a lot of times when we look at successes that people created, we think, oh, they were just lucky, because we only see the tip of the iceberg. We do not see what's behind, like what's down there in the water. a lot of work, a lot of sweat, a lot of trials, a lot of failures, right? A lot of doubts, fear, a lot of things are there. But people only see the tip of the iceberg, and they think, oh, okay, they were lucky, or it's just them, but it's not us. But the idea is we all can create whatever we want. And it's interesting because I love esoteric, so I constantly like reading the reports in numerology. And we have the potential, but if we are not gonna do something with that potential, it's never gonna realize in physical world. So sometimes people are saying, oh, okay, like if I'm gonna be lucky enough and like have this relationship or have this wealth in my cards, like we say, right, or in my chart, right? So it has to come. No, nothing is gonna come to you if you are not really putting the work, right? So in order for us to warm up the room, but first we have to put the wood, right, in the what you call it, in the fireplace, right? Yes. Yeah. So that's exactly how it is. Without the work, we cannot expect the results. That's why a lot of people just use the excuses that like, oh, okay, the economy is bad, okay, there are no jobs around, there are no good people, that's why I can't have the relationship. And we are so used to give excuses to the outside rather than just like literally sit down with ourselves and say, wait a second, let me just look at my life and the way how I see things really have to happen, right? Because remember, our mindset is everything. So our mindset is going to project the results that we are creating. And that's exactly what we want to really bring the awareness to the people. And with that, Roman, what made you really, what was miraculous in your life? Like, tell a little bit about your miracles.
I mean, there were a lot of miracles. I mean, I look for miracles every single day, but like you said.
Awesome.
Was that?
Awesome. That's how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I have no choice. Life brings challenges, and with them, we rise and fall, but we rise again. It's really, that's really the truth. There's certain things that happen in my life that I never expected to happen, and there are challenges that I'm still going through. One thing that I will share is that there was a point in my life, I used to play hockey, and I sustained an injury that led to that was in my 20s. That led to what was diagnosed as fibromyalgia. This is interesting. I'm bringing it up because it's going to drive right into this topic. So I went through years of spasms and bad pains, and basically, what I didn't realize is that I created a construct in my mind that I was attached to, and that construct was pain. And my body was able to turn on pain signal at any tiny bit of stress would result in pain, and the pain would go to places where I had injuries, where I was banged up, and I did not know what was happening. So one time, I used to go to this doctor, who he couldn't figure out what was going on with me, because he just couldn't handle my condition, and he couldn't understand what was happening. I think at one point he said he thinks it's psychological. So he turned me onto this book, and this book is called Healing Back Pain. I highly recommend this book. I don't recommend pain. I highly recommend this book to anyone suffering from chronic pain. And it's a book written by Dr. John Sarno, who's passed away several years ago. He actually is credited with fixing Howard Stern's back pain. So this book itself talks about the mechanism by which our emotional distress protects our brain by turning pain inward and sending it to various body parts. And when you start reading the book, this is the most interesting part. When you start reading the book, you start to understand how the mechanism works. And by the virtue of your conscious understanding of how the mechanism works, you reprogram your subconscious to tell your subconscious that it is okay. You do not have to turn on the pain when I'm stressed. Give me another outlet. So I started reading this book. Kid you not, I was suffering from pain for probably at least, at that point, for at least 7-8 years, almost on a daily. I read this book, and in 3 weeks, every single spasm I've experienced, gone. And it's not very different. When we talk about manifestation, people a lot of times, and myself included, if somebody spoke to me about manifestation, I would think about the book called Secret, and I would be like, great, I'll never read it because it just sounds like complete BS, and I'm not interested because it just sounds like woo. What a lot of people don't understand, myself included, is that there is science behind it, and the science is that there are certain synaptic connections that occur in our brain, and our brain, every second, we're capable, according to the book that you were so gracious to recommend to my friend, that was recommended to me, our brain is capable of processing about 10 high definition movies equivalent in 1 second. Our brain is capable of processing. And virtually all of it is processed subconsciously, because consciously we cannot comprehend 10 high definition movies. So there's a lot of subconscious messaging that happens outside of our conscious control. And this book that I read, Healing Back Pain, once I read about the mechanism by which the pain is brought on, just understanding the mechanism took the pain away. I'm not speaking woo. You can look it up. It's called Healing Back Pain. I've recommended it since to 2 other people who have cured their fibromyalgia. In the book, it's called, the disorder is called TMS, tension myositis syndrome, and it's all stress-induced. And it is responsible for a lot of ailments that people go through, gastrointestinal, musculoskeletal. The stress in our life, stress is in itself a manifestation of not necessarily broken subconscious. It's manifestation of our inability and our, I don't want to say we don't want to do it, but our lack of responsibility for our subconscious. Our subconscious is a major, major tool that we can take control of, but we choose not to because we fall into comfort zones. But a lot of times our comfort zones, they look comfortable in the short term, but in the long term, they make us miserable. And when we break out of our comfort zones and we open up our mind, quite literally, to the possibilities, we're able to reprogram our mind. So if we start visualizing something, we're starting to change the intent. And the more we visualize it, the more likely it is that our synaptic connections are starting to get rewired towards the realization and towards our acting out of our intention. Because our intentions are always there. Every single person, I'm sure every single person you talk to has a dream or two. Somebody wants to be sailing, somebody wants to be painting, somebody wants to be making woodcrafts. Everybody has a dream. So what is stopping us from having this dream, from realizing our dream? Ourselves, nobody else. I mean, there are always going to be circumstances, but it is us. It's our comfort zone because we box ourselves into the comfort of not being in the fight because we think the fight is so great. But the fight doesn't have to be so great. I'm not going to get my black belt in a month. I'm not going to get it in 10 years. But if I keep going, I'm going to get it. But right now, what I've realized is that the belt itself is not the prize. The prize is the journey. The belt down the line is going to be validation of my journey. And when it is validated, I'll say thank you. But even if it isn't, I'm already grateful for the fact that I've opened up my mind and my time to indulge in this practice. It's given me peace of mind for the 45 minutes that I make for it 3-4 times a week.
I love what you shared, and especially, what really stood out is first we believe in order to receive, right? So it just reminds us, like you were sharing this book, it reminds us of our body, mind, and soul connection. So everything, like when people get sick, we have to go back to our thoughts, like what kind of thoughts we are constantly processing in our head. And obviously it all goes back into our energetic level because everything happens on the energetic plane first before it comes into the physical plane, right? So body is the only time when we know there is something that we have to address on the energetic level, because body is the physical thing, and through our body, the pain and everything what's going on, we can actually identify what are the issues that we have to address on the energetic plane. So there is definitely the connection of everything, and the more we tune in, the more we become interested in that, the more information we receive, and the more we believe that everything is working if we work on it.
course. And you know what's interesting is you said that I never thought. I actually in the book it talks about it, but we never think about it. We can have a very stressed out day at work. We come home, and what do we get? We get a stiff neck, and we get a headache.
Mm-hmm.
So we have mastered the manifestation of the negative. We're able
Right.
to manifest negatively, meaning if I'm going to be stressing out, I'm going to get physical expressions
Mm-hmm.
of my stress, and
Right.
that in itself is a manifestation. And think
Mm-hmm.
about what we can do if we say to ourselves, if something is outside of my control, I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to stress out. I'm going to make a conscious. It's kind of weird because conscious and subconscious, they're constantly working together. But it's the conscious that holds the wheel, and it's the subconscious that holds all the parts. So if we tell ourselves, look, I can react to something that's seemingly stressful in a better way. And we come home and there is no headache, there is no neck spasm. That in itself is a manifestation. So, and that kind of gets us to neutral, right? Somebody, what did somebody say? If you were, what is it? Just to stand in place, we have to keep running. I forget the saying. So, but if we run faster, we can outdo ourselves and we can actually manifest out other things. So we can go from negative to positive, but first we have to get ourselves to neutral. And the neutral is we belong to ourselves. Our thoughts belong to us. We don't belong to anybody else, and we do not owe anybody any favors. The only favors we owe are to ourselves. And the only favor we owe to ourselves and to our families is to keep ourselves happy. Because if we are happy, our families are happy. If we are happy, we're healthy. They're healthy. Because worries get us nowhere. And I am the first person to admit that I'm still struggling with worries, with anxiety, but I constantly try to remind myself that it's not going to get me anywhere. And instead, I try to find outlets that take my time that I would otherwise spend on worrying and put them into a practice that I find meditative. Because in this meditative space that I place myself into, I am able to slowly rearrange the pieces of myself in a way that provides for a better and easier tomorrow. That's what I'm learning from this, and we could talk about it for hours, I'm sure. And
Right.
it's work in progress. Every
Yes,
day.
absolutely. And I just wanted to conclude with, like when you mentioned something about the subconscious, because we are acting with our subconscious 95%. We barely thinking much, right? Because like in the morning, we already programmed that we are going to go to the bathroom, do whatever we have to do. We don't even think about it. We are not like commanding our mind to do that, right? So the idea is when we start working with our mindset and we are learning how to reprogram our mind, it requires time. And a lot of people do not understand. I mean, if we are living more than 40 years, imagine how much work has to be done to reprogram all these programs that been with us for so many years, right? And it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes, like you said, you would have to catch yourself multiple times a day to know what exactly is going on in your head, catch the thoughts that are not serving you, and just put them aside, catch and put them aside, right? And replace them with the thoughts that are really empowering, the thoughts that you want your life to be like. So it just for the people to understand that we are living in the miracle. This is reality, right? And actually the reality is something that we are creating ourselves, because we are living in the illusion and we are creating our own reality. So Roman, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure, and thanks for sharing your wisdom. And for everybody who is going to be listening, tuning in later, just understand that we are in charge of our lives. We cannot know all the little details, whatever is happening to us, but we can control the way we handle the life. So let's become better conscious creators, and welcome the miracles, because they are always there every day, and just welcome them every day in every way. Thank you so much, and see you on the